For years, Rebecca Langford controlled the conversation. But one night, a black businessman shattered her narrative on live TV. The clip spread like wildfire. Millions watched as Rebecca, host of the Langford Report, sat frozen, struggling to find the words to save herself. Just moments earlier, she had been in control, smug, confident, playing the role she had perfected. But now the mask had slipped. And all it took was Isaiah Brooks, a businessman she had underestimated, calmly laying out the truth. Isaiah wasn't just another guest. He was a self-made businessman from Indianapolis who had built his wealth in tech despite every obstacle. His story wasn't abstract, it was lived experience. When Rebecca welcomed him, she thought she could twist his story to fit her usual narrative. "Welcome, Isaiah," she said with a rehearsed smile. It's refreshing to see someone who didn't let excuses hold them back. Isaiah didn't flinch. "I appreciate the invitation, Rebecca. I'm looking forward to the conversation." Rebecca leaned in. "You built your company from the ground up, no handouts, no shortcuts. Would you say that's proof anyone can make it if they just work hard enough?" The audience clapped, but Isaiah didn't bite. "I'd say my story proves a lot of things," he replied. "Hard work matters, but so do the obstacles in the way. The real question is, why do some people have to work twice as hard for the same opportunities?" Rebecca smirked. "Come on, Isaiah. We hear that argument all the time, but you're living proof that success is possible. If you made it, what's stopping anyone else?" Isaiah adjusted his posture. "Rebecca, if one person makes it across a broken bridge, that doesn't mean the bridge isn't broken. It just means they got across despite the danger." Rebecca laughed. "So you're saying the bridge is broken?" "Because I look around and see a lot of successful people who worked hard to get where they are." Isaiah nodded. "And you know what most of them will tell you? That the climb was steeper for some than for others." He turned to the audience. "Imagine two runners at the starting line. One is on a smooth track. The other has hurdles. You don't get to say the race is fair just because they both started running at the same time." The audience murmured. Rebecca shifted in her chair. "So you're saying hard work doesn't matter?" she pressed. Isaiah shook his head. "I never said that. Hard work matters a lot. But so does the fact that some people are running uphill while others have a clear path. And let's not pretend that's accidental." Rebecca's smirk returned. "Let's talk about that then. Every time we have this discussion, it turns into blaming others instead of taking responsibility. Look at you, Isaiah. You built something incredible. You didn't sit around waiting for help." Isaiah exhaled. "You're right, I didn't wait. But let's not ignore the fact that I had to be twice as good to get half the credit." Rebecca shook her head. "Twice as good? That sounds like an excuse to me. In this country, anyone can." Isaiah cut her off. "Rebecca, do you know how many times investors told me no before I got my first yes? How many meetings I walked into where they assumed I wasn't the CEO but someone's assistant? I had to work harder, talk smarter, and prove myself over and over just to get through doors that were already open for others." The audience murmured again. Rebecca straightened her back. "Well, maybe that's just part of business. Everyone has to work hard," she said. Isaiah nodded. "Sure, but let's not pretend the starting line is the same for everyone." Rebecca opened her mouth, but Isaiah continued. "Rebecca, let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a situation where you were the only white person in the room?" Rebecca blinked. "Excuse me? Have you ever walked into a meeting or an event and realized everyone else was different from you? That they had already decided what you were capable of before you even spoke?" Rebecca hesitated. "That's not the same thing." "Isn't it?" Isaiah countered. "Because that's my reality. Every room I walk into, I have to prove I'm not just there because of a diversity quota. I have to work twice as hard just to be seen as equal." He leaned forward. "And since we're talking about advantages, let's talk about yours. You built your career because of where you grew up, the connections you had, the assumptions people made about you before you even said a word. You've dismissed conversations like this for years, yet you personally benefited from the very systems you claim don't exist. Rebecca's expression darkened. That's ridiculous, is it? Isaiah asked. You got your first media job because your father was friends with the station manager. That's not to say you didn't work hard. But let's be honest, do you really think you would have gotten that job if you had no connections? If your name didn't carry weight? The audience murmured. Rebecca's face was unreadable, but her hands gripped the arms of her chair. Isaiah turned to the audience. That's the thing about privilege. It's not about whether you struggled. It's about the fact that some people get a head start without even realizing it. And the moment you bring it up, they get uncomfortable. The studio fell silent. Rebecca's carefully composed face couldn't hide the tension in her jaw. Well, she forced a laugh. Now I'm the villain, is that it? Isaiah shook his head. This isn't about villains. It's about truth. And the truth is, you've built your career dismissing experiences like mine, while benefiting from the very systems you claim don't exist. Rebecca's fingers tapped nervously against her desk. The audience was watching her, now really watching. Then, a producer handed her a phone. She glanced at the screen, her eyes flickering. Well, Isaiah, she said, forcing a smile, it looks like you've made quite an impression. My producers just informed me this segment is trending online. Isaiah raised an eyebrow. Is that so? Rebecca inhaled sharply. It seems some of our viewers have strong opinions about this discussion. What she didn't say was that the clip was already spreading like wildfire, and not in the way she wanted. By the time the cameras stopped rolling, the Langford report was unraveling. Sponsors pulled out, and the network questioned whether the show was worth the heat. Isaiah walked calmly toward the exit. He had done what he came to do, not to destroy Rebecca, but to expose the truth. As he stepped outside, a reporter asked, Mr. Brooks, any comment on what happened tonight? Isaiah paused. It was never about me versus her. It was about whether people are willing to hear the truth, even when it makes them uncomfortable. The clip of that response went viral too. And Rebecca? She spent the next few days watching her empire crumble. She tried damage control, but people weren't buying it. Because when the truth finally breaks through, no amount of spin can put it back in the box. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to Shocking Fate and hit the bell icon for more thought-provoking content. Thanks for watching.